Hello everyone, this is Joe Lenton from Original Art Photography again. Hope you're all having a good week so far. I know we're only just partway through Monday morning, but hopefully you've had a good weekend and rested and back ready to take some more photos this week. And I wonder whether you've already started very much this new year or whether you're still waiting for the weather to improve or what you're doing. I'm here today to talk a little bit about goals for 2019 for photography. I wonder whether you've set yourself any goals. Is there something that you particularly want to be able to achieve? It might be somewhere you want to photograph, somebody. It might be that you want to get better at using flash, or you want to master a particular technique. Maybe there's something you want to be able to do in Photoshop. What sort of things are you setting for yourself for goals this year? It's a good idea to set goals because it gives you something to look back on, and you can see the progress that you've made when you realise that you've fulfilled a goal that you had at the beginning of the year, and you can look back. Oh, look, there's Sharon the cat again. Say hello, Sharon. Okay, off you go then. It's nice to have goals that you can look back to and say, yes, I did achieve that, and see how you've moved on in your work. So I would encourage you to try it. They don't have to be huge or hugely complicated goals. For example, one thing that I'm working on at the moment, and I'm going to carry on working on more, is use of colour. And that's, in some ways, you could say, well, that's very basic. It's just trying to get more out of the potential for using colour for mood, using colour more strongly in images. And that doesn't necessarily mean saturated, more saturated. It just means thinking about what a colour scheme helps to evoke. So if you've got lots and lots of different colours, sometimes an image can look more confused if you simplify it down. You know, some people like to go all the way to black and white, but you don't have to go that far. You could just simplify it down to a couple of colours, and that might help create a slightly different mood. So one way of looking at that is to look at different ways in which colour has been used historically through art, and people have come up with things that they know tends to work. So for example, complementary colours. There's also analogous colours, so colours that are similar in the similar sort of part of the colour wheel, but not necessarily exactly the same. Then you go, if you're not familiar with these kinds of things, you might like to have a look at, there's a resource you can look at called Adobe Color Wheel. If you Google Adobe Color Wheel, that will come up and shows you a wheel with, the usual sort of thing that you might expect to see, your yellow, blue, greens and so on, as how the colours all blend into one another, where something sits on the colour wheel. So if you want to find what the contemporary colour is to a particular thing, you just look at whatever the colour is that's opposite that on the colour wheel. So you go to Adobe Color Wheel and you can have a quick look on there and see what it is, what colour you want to have as your main colour. And then you might want to think what colour you want to have as an accent colour, as a complementary colour, and you look at what's opposite that on the colour wheel. So that's one way of dealing with colour. And there's also things like triadic and tetradic colour schemes, which use 3 or 4 colours. Again, if you use the Adobe Color Wheel on there, there's actually a little menu you can click on, which will show you automatically that colour scheme based on your starting colour. So you click your starting colour on the wheel that you want, so say blue, and then you can click on whether you want to see what the complementary would be, which would be opposite, or whether you want to see the tetradic colour scheme or whatever. That will then give you all the different colours that would be involved in that colour scheme, and you could then think about planning a photo shoot around it. So rather than always just taking whatever colour you're given, really, think about how the colour can create a mood, thinking about how you can simplify a composition down, so you might have sort of more muted, cool tones for a lot of it, and then a much sort of warmer, brighter part where you want to bring the attention to your subject, and you might have that in a very different colour. So although colour in a sense is extremely simple, it is what it's around us every day, it's what we see, it's something which you can use very powerfully in your photography. It's worth taking a little bit of time over to think about, and that for me is one of my particular goals at the moment. One thing that I want to carry on taking forward is to get a better understanding, a better control of colour used in all sorts of different ways. Sometimes you might not be able to control it so much when you're shooting, so it's thinking about how you can then do that in post-production. Color grading, that might involve lookup tables, it might involve split toning. So if you want to do it in post-production, you need to learn a few more skills in order to be able to do that. But, you know, don't necessarily make that your goal just because it's mine. It'd be nice to hear what your goals are, so do pop them down in the comments underneath the video. It also helps you to kind of make yourself accountable. If you say, this is what I'm going to try and achieve, if you've put it out there, other people can see it, and you kind of feel a bit more of an obligation to really go ahead with it and go through with it and do it. So it could be helpful for you just in that way, just sort of pinning your colours to the mast and saying, I'm going to work on this. This is my thing that I want to get sorted out. I'm going to do it for the next month, 3 months, 6 months, whatever it might be. So let me know what your goals are. If there's anything that I can do along the way to help, you know, in terms of blog posts and things, then obviously chuck your questions at me and I'll see if I can help you there. Use the group as well. Use the Become a Better Photographer Facebook group to ask each other questions, because, you know, one person cannot know all the answers and we've all got different experiences and we can all help each other out. One person might be better at something that someone else is weaker in. So we can all help each other to grow, help each other to be more creative and come up with ideas. So the thing I'd like you to take away from this video really is think of an aim, something you want to do so that you can tick that off at some point. So you're not just wandering through the year with your camera, but is there an image or something that you can think of that you want to get? Have a look at that. You might find, if you're interested in colour, that the Adobe Color Wheel, just Google Adobe Color Wheel, will be helpful for you. That also is a great link to find a whole load of suggested colour schemes and so on. So you can try that. But yeah, let's all try and set some goals, some particular areas we want to work on. And then we can show each other the images and we can see the improvements that are happening. We can help encourage one another as to how we could do it even better. You might have seen in the Become a Better Photographer Facebook group already, I've posted something which I did. It's just a quick rough image, but with a small red lipstick with bokeh in the background, and I've shown how I've taken the original photo and colour graded it to make it much more in the reds. So I was going for an analogous colour scheme there. Quite deliberately pushing most of the things towards red to try and make the image feel more coherent, really, because they're all sort of derivatives of the same sort of colour. So, you know, you can have a look at that and see what you think, and do feel free to comment. You know, it's not necessarily everybody's cup of tea, but that doesn't matter. So thank you very much for watching, whether you've been watching live or whether you're watching on the replay. Please do interact in the comments. Let us know what your goals are. If you're already starting to achieve those, do stick some photos up so that we can see those as well. I look forward to hearing from you, seeing what you're up to, and helping each other become better photographers faster.